best, I mean, when I say best, I mean there's still a low possibility. But if you're looking at the junglers across the LCS, the first place you might look at is Dignitas and Acadian, because he's the only one with a KDA lower than him this split. But even more than that, every other jungler in the LCS seems pretty set for this split, at least for like the next month or two.
If
When you look at the rosters,
you heard of my boy Spica?
do you think that's going to be switched? Do you think they're going to make a switch there?
I don't think so, but TSM ain't going so well right now either. So, and I'm not blaming him for it, but I'm just saying generally, like, he is unfortunately going to likely be the scapegoat of this TSM team, as we've talked about before, whether it's his actual fault or not. So
that's a clout thing.
I don't know.
Though. That's a clout thing.
100%. But like, you have one, like, we understand Doublelift status in this team. Bjergsen's a part owner, right? Like, all these things are a factor.
Very, very tough.
Right? Like, Biofrost is really good friends with management too.
Well,
like Broken Blade is like such a sweetheart. How can you scapegoat him, right? Like, come on.
Emily, here, look. Santorin, Blabber, Wiggly, Broxa, Spica, Smithy / whatever they got going on in Immortals, Potluck, Svenskeren, Closer, Acadian. You the expert jungler analyst, right? When you hear that, where could Meteos possibly compete in the LCS right now for a spot?
Oh, see, that's so mean. Because now you have to have me like bench a jungler.
I'm not. Compete.
I mean, the only places I would look at would probably be. I honestly wouldn't look at TSM. I hope they stick with Spica, because I think Spica could benefit from having a full split in LCS. And I actually think that they've shown a surprising amount of trust in Spica. You know, like they let him walk in the cane despite the fact that it did not work out. Like, that shows that you're actually willing to let your jungler at least try out something. And in fact, we'll talk about this later, but I think one of TSM's problems more recently is that they try too many different things at once. But oh man, see, I want Acadian.
And I'm not dunking on Acadian. I'm not trying to dunk.
Acadian to get the full split too, though, because I feel like he's another like this is another issue that I'll bring up. That's kind of not. It's tangentially related to Meteos, but it has to do with the NA talent discussion. Is that so many players, people make up their mind up about really quickly after like 1 or 2 games or 1 or 2 series previously, when we had series in the LCS, and then like write them off for forever without letting them actually grow and fail for an entire split. And that is something that I think a lot of other regions are willing to do, even if it means that their team kind of isn't good for a while. NA more than any other region, maybe this is just like recency bias, but they seem to write off players like incredibly quickly, especially their own talent. And I mean, that weird, like, I don't think Meteos is an example of this, because I think a lot of teams could benefit from having Meteos, actually, just because, again, he's like so incredibly smart about the game, just to have him like on a roster. But I think he'd want to start. But if you're asking me about like someone like Spica, someone like Acadian, like, I want them to just sit and start for a split and not have to, you know, like just let them start for an entire split. Like, I know this is like off the topic of the media situation, but this is something that really frustrates me in North America just generally, is that like a lot of these players that people say they've made their minds up around and that we know, and they're definitely a known quantity, et cetera, they actually haven't been given a chance to like fail and succeed across an entire split.
So what we're
hold on. I just want to say something really quick, because it's pertinent. It was on my show last night on the Eco. Jason Lake said this, and I couldn't agree more. He's the CEO of Complexity, which top Counter-Strike team. I can tell you exactly why that doesn't happen in North America, though, right? Like, this is a perspective that was like, I knew, but like Jason brought it up yesterday, and I think it's applicable to League of Legends. The way that investment works in North America, especially with a lot of these teams, right? Like, a lot of these teams have not found what makes them popular other than winning, Like if you think about esports teams at large, there are
That's a
very
good
few
point.
teams. There are very few teams that are successful. Like if they're bad, right? Like there's maybe 3 in North America: 100 Thieves, 4. 100 Thieves, Cloud9, FaZe, and TSM. They will be popular no matter how trash they are at whatever respective game they are in.
And I would even argue that 100 Thieves and FaZe are popular for different reasons other
Correct.
than esports.
Well, I mean, they're just like popular in general, right?
Yeah.
Like of esports, of teams in esports,
But their
right? They're
brand
popular 'cause of-
value,
Right.
value comes from something other than esports competition.
But
Yes,
that's kind
they
of
are
the point.
lifestyle
They've,
brands.
That's
they've
the point.
found
That's the
they've
point.
found other ways to be
Yes.
popular.
Content in the case of FaZe, and clothing in the case of 100 Thieves, like clothing and lifestyle in the case of 100 Thieves, right?
Agreed.
Props to them, right? But every other team to be like successful or like to like have bigger sponsorships, they need to win, right? So like they're and also their investors expect them to be a very successful brand. How do you become a successful brand where you don't have anything unique about your organization? You win. So every single team is incentivized, and we've seen this year over year over year. Immortals previously, back when like they had the Huni Reignover roster. EG right now is probably the best example of this because they went out and spent a ton of money to put together their current roster, and like was going to spend even more with Chovy, as Tyler and I have discussed on this show and others before, right?
Yep.
Like they all just want to win, and just like pour money into things. So like no like. Yes, in theory, the franchise system should make them want to take big challenges on people like Poom and people like Spica, right? And like make it to the point where like they can develop talent over an extended period of time because it's very unlikely that they are the worst team 3 splits in a row and get relegated, right? That's the only way you can do it in this system. But they are incentivized to do the exact opposite because they have to win to increase brand value, to then please their investors, and to also make a ROI eventually. So that's my thought. And it's unfortunate that it's that way.
What we're saying is congratulations, Meteos, on joining CLG. That's what we're saying.
I like Wiggly.
Oh, poor Wiggly.
I like Wiggly.